Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. On Podbean, Nate and Aaron are here with you on this week's show, episode number 52. Just a free-form episode going on here. And, Aaron, how's it going out there?
It's going okay.
Before we went on the air, we were talking about, we weren't really talking any modern product on this show. Like you were saying, I mean, actually, Raw and SmackDown both were pretty rough this week. However, I don't know if you knew this, fun fact, the sustained boo that Kevin Owens and Elias got on Raw was the longest boo in WWE history. So, I mean, you got some guys out there getting real heel heat.
Yeah.
And their segment wasn't terrible.
And it's like I said on a thread I put out there, I think it's really cool. There's like one cool thing they're doing right now. Is that they're really promoting their Make-A-Wish, and they're allowing that Make-A-Wish kid to manage Bobby Lashley.
Making reference, of course, to Leo Rush.
That's his name?
Yes. That's Leo Rush. You didn't know that?
What's he got?
What?
Spideitis?
Yeah, well, it's like, I don't know. Like this week's show, it was just...
They should hook him up with Dayton Children's. They take care of a lot of those type of kids.
What do you think about the possibility of Shawn coming back to the ring, Mr. Shawn Michaels?
Fucking horrible.
You know, it's funny because I actually agree with that. Although Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler ever, him reneging on his retirement to get a payday in the nine figures, to me, necessarily isn't a bad thing because I'd do the same thing. But my thing always was if Shawn's going to come back, if he's actually going to come back against his retirement stip, like my perfect scenario would be for Shawn Michaels to come back like in NXT. Like if he was going to, I would love to see Shawn Michaels wrestle like Tommaso Ciampa or Adam Cole or somebody like that. You know, have some young punk. I mean, if you're gonna take Shawn Michaels out of retirement, why not pull him out of retirement to get over a new young star? You know, have Adam Cole or like I said, Ciampa or somebody like that he can have a fantastic match with. And he's bonded with these guys in NXT because he's like a really big part of it now. And pull him out of retirement to do that, not to have another match with The Undertaker when they're both old, you know. Shawn Michaels looks like a cross-eyed Bret Michaels with no hair.
Well, maybe this will finally get Mark Calloway over him.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
It's going to get him a rub.
I don't know. To me, having him come back to fight the same guy he fought 10 years ago in his
It's just going to be
match.
A bunch of old heads in the ring.
Yeah.
Like they're all going to look in tremendous shape, but their heads are going to look ancient.
So I was watching this Raw from '93. Vince McMahon cracked me the fuck up. You might know what I'm talking about. Undertaker sends a wreath down to the ring for Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, and then Mr. Hughes is like...
he reads it for... It says, rest in peace, the Undertaker.
It took him that long to read that?
Yeah, it says, rest in peace, the Undertaker. And Hughes reads it for like 45 seconds. And he's like, well, it took him that long to read that?
Yeah, it was like that was a Vince McMahon reaction.
Yeah, he was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was like that clip I showed you from that WWF show where that fat jobber gets in the ring and Vince McMahon's like, good Lord. It's disgusting. Like, it's just Vince just talking. And then there's this match with oh fuck. It's one of the conquistadors before he became a conquistador. The Juan Luis Rivera or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he's fighting Sifiaki or whatever. And they're having a match. And it's not good.
Right.
At all. And Vince Jr., as a commentator, goes, well, these two are having a really boring match. He just says it. He's like, well, they're just having a very boring match.
Oh. And this is the guy that is now the senile jefe of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Time for Vince to go. I don't know. She ain't what she used to be. So anyway.
Like I said, I tried to watch a Raw. I watched a 2-hour Raw with Hulu and was bored out of my mind.
Yeah, this week's show was pretty. Actually, SmackDown.
Well, it wasn't even this week's show that I watched. I think it was like last week's. It was boring. It was plotting, and it was just terrible.
You know
and then honestly, I watched a 3-hour Nitro and was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah.
Like Nitro in 1999 is 10 times better than Monday Night Raw in 2018.
Actually, you know what? It's funny. You know what promotion is my favorite promotion right now? MLW.
I haven't really watched it.
MLW is the only wrestling show, and this is including NXT because I don't dislike women's wrestling, but I don't attach myself to women's wrestling. I don't have any hate for the fact that they're getting their due and there's fantastic women's wrestlers in the WWE and everything, but on NXT I fast forward through a lot of the women's matches. I watch the whole women's match like on the takeover shows, but on the everyday show, I fast forward through a lot of the women's matches. So I can honestly say NXT included and Ring of Honor, the MLW show is the only show that I watch, the only new product show that I watch every week that I watch from beginning to end without fast forwarding through any of it. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. It's a really good show.
Well, bring up YouTube.
It's a good little promotion. All right, we're going to bring up the YouTube here.
And type in Adrian Street Breaking Bones.
Not a big fan of Adrian Street.
Don't give a fuck. I am. We're gonna decide which Adrian Street song is the best.
So
you're gonna listen to both of them.
So you want to hear something creepy that I found out, or that I just happened to come across the other day? Just looking and reading shit. Like I'm watching an old WCW thing, and it had a tag team tournament on it. And do you know who died the same day as Chris Benoit?
I think I do. And it's just like totally went out of my head.
Beef Wellington.
Yeah,
And
they were tag team partners.
Yeah, they were tag team partners in one of those WC. I just thought that was really weird because I the only reason I even realized this because I was watching the match and I looked up Beef Wellington on Wikipedia, and then I'm like, holy shit, him and Benoit died on the same day? What the fuck? But anyway, I guess Benoit didn't. It was kind of different. You know, Beef Wellington died of a bad liver or something, and Chris Benoit died of a diseased brain, but... Alright, let's see here.
It'll just be like, it'll say shake, wrestle, and roll.
Shake, wrestle, and roll.
Yeah, I heard a spina bifida ad come over.
Yeah, and I don't think I have the same one. Oh, that's because I typed in I typed in Adrian Street breaking bonds. All right,
break bonds? No, he's not Dog the Bounty Hunter.
All right, so does it look like it has like a album cover on the? Okay, got it.
It's 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
All right.
Don't play it yet.
I'm not playing it yet. Well.
I heard it.
YouTube got ahead of me. All right.
Okay. We're going to listen to this song, which is really good. And then we'll talk about some other shit if you want, or we'll listen to the next song I'm going to say. And you'll pick which one's the best because they're both awesome. And I'm going to prove to you that Adrian Street's the man because he made like fucking awesome songs, and he was like Gold Dust before Gold Dust. He was fucking amazing, and he made the best, like, other than Pencil Neck Geek, which is by far the greatest wrestling album.
Yes,
he made the best wrestling albums ever. Okay,
all right.
I'm gonna count to 3. 1, and when I say 3, you hit play. All right.
Got it.
1, 2, 3.
I've got lots of money, but that's really not my style. Nearly all the pleasures in my life have gone. I can't think of many things that make me want to smile, but there's one thing that really turns me on. I want to hear the crunch, I want to hear the cracks, I want to hear the moans and groans. I don't know why, but I'm only happy breaking bones.
The champion wrestler in history of
listeners, this is Breaking Bones by Exotic, Adrian Street, and the Pile Drivers.
Yeah.
Stu Hart's favorite song.
No one seems to understand how sensitive I am when I twist somebody's head round several ways. And dislocating fingers or a casual body slam helps me pass the time and brightens up my days. I wanna hear the crunch, I wanna hear the cracks, I wanna hear the moans and groans. I don't know why, but I'm
still a Terry Carbon boy.
What?
I wanna hear the crunch, I wanna hear the cracks, I wanna hear the moans and groans. I wanna hear the crunch,
I don't think this guy never on Vince's radar.
What's that?
I don't understand why Adrian Street never got on Vince's radar.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I actually always kind of wondered that too, just because he was that, he was outlandish. You would thought that he would have caught. Now, could it be because Vince already had Adrian Adonis in that kind of a character? And maybe he just didn't want to. I don't know. I don't know how he.
Adrian Adonis was not as good as Adrian Street.
No, but do you see what I'm saying though? Like he's already
I
got.
see what you're saying, but
I mean, I guess that didn't matter when he got LOD after Demolition, did it?
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Street was the man. Like, I shouldn't say the man, but like that guy could work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that brings something up. What I just said. I want to slaughter a sacred cow here, since we're just going to jump all over the place anyway. And I'm thinking about it at the time. Demolition was better than the Legion of Doom. People can whatever. I mean, it's just a personal opinion, but I'm more entertained watching.
I agree with that, but it was also the geographical area that we were raised in.
Well, yeah, but I mean, going back and watching it now, I'm more entertained by Demolition than I am by the Road Warriors, and I'm not by any means
a better manager.
I'm not by any means mocking the Road Warriors at all. I liked the Road Warriors, but I like Demolition better than LOD. And whether they were quote unquote a copy or a knockoff or what. I
do too, and mainly it's because they have better matches.
Yeah, well,
Barry Darsow was really good in the ring, and you can't.
Nobody can deny Bill Eadie's talent.
Yeah.
Bill Eadie's underrated. Bill Eadie's actually one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Like all the different characters that guy could have, and the different styles of matches he could have with many different opponents. I mean, that's the qualification of a great wrestler.
Yeah. But I also do like now going back and watching
jobbers be scared of.
Yeah, like jobbers just going, oh my god. What is about to happen? And then
Iron Man. Oh god!
And it's like no, and then just Hawk and Animal just showing up and just beating the fuck out of those guys. It's so fun too, though.
Oh shit!
So now I know you indulged me with the Breaking Bones thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to indulge me with one more.
Yes.
And it's only 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay.
And I'm not going to try to push you either way, but this one's my favorite one.
Okay.
This is my favorite wrestling track that's not Fred Blassie ever. So type in Adrian Street, Street Rap.
Street Rap?
Street Rap. It'll be another album cover.
Okay.
You see it?
Yep. I'm gonna hit this, see if I get a commercial. Oh, we've got an advertisement for Cheetos Bag of Bones on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. All right. Thanks, YouTube. I guess I am using YouTube shit. So.
Yeah.
All right, is yours loaded?
Yeah.
All right.
1, 2, 3, play.
What the fuck?
This is great.
I'm gonna kick back and listen here.
Street rap, physical perfection. Street rap, boy or girl. Nice. Street rap, number one selection. Street rap, champion of the world. A is for amazing, which I obviously am. D is for that difference from any other man. R is for remarkable, you must see what I mean. I is for incredible, which I have always been. Street rap, physical perfection. Street rap, boy or girl. Nice. Nice. Street rap, number one selection. Street rap, champion of the world. A is for Adonis, and one you won't forget. N is just for nasty, which I get when I'm upset. S is for the sequins, which I always love to wear. T is for the time I take to comb my lovely hair.
Wonder if they ever played this on Dr. Demento.
I don't know if they did, but they should have.
Nice.
Nice.
R is for the roses I've received from those I've met. E is for exotic, which I also like to get. The other E is for everything in which I just excel. T is for the tights, which I'm told I fill so well. Street rap, physical perfection. Street rap, boy or girl. Nice. Street rap, number one selection. Street rap, champion of the world. I sometimes wonder what it must be like to be ordinary, as I am fitter, stronger, and more beautiful than anyone. I am, in fact, superhuman. But through it all, I have always managed to maintain my modesty. Street rap, physical perfection. Street rap, boy or girl. Nice. Street rap, number one selection. Street rap, champion of the world. I really do have so much going for me. Nice. I didn't ask to be perfect. It just happened that way. Street rap, physical perfection. Street rap, boy or girl. Nice. Street rap, number one selection. Street rap, champion of the world.
My favorite thing of the whole song is the nice.
Nice. It's great, man. And you know what he did? You know what? I'm sorry. He did that song on something else. Do you know what that song was on?
No.
Grunt.
Grunt, the wrestling movie?
The greatest wrestling movie ever made.
Oh, Grunt. God, I haven't seen that in forever. Dude knocks old dude's head off.
Oh, yeah. And then the Russians try to...
Or when they're in that
and
car.
it's got like a slinky on it.
And when they're in that car. And he just starts... He just
And he goes,
punches
are you
him.
mad? Are you Madman Mercurso? He just punches him. And they pull up. That shit's great. Fucking movie is amazing.
You know, I've never watched, and like I hear people talk about it on other podcasts and stuff. I've never actually watched The Wrestler, the Ed Asner Vern Gagne movie.
I just bought that on Amazon, and it shipped to my house 2 days ago. And I have it on DVD. I'm gonna watch it.
It's on Amazon Prime for streaming. I thought about watching it too, but I've never actually watched it.
I've known that, but I bought it. I have it on DVD now. I just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. I've always seen clips from it and stuff, and I don't know. When I was a younger man, it looked boring to me. Just I don't know, because it was like that 70s look. You know, you're just assuming it's boring. Well, I assume this is boring, but
Grunt, there was somebody that tried to call some shit, like throw some shade on me on the internet because I said Grunt was like the best wrestling movie ever, and they were like, Grunt was terrible. I'm like, fuck you, Grunt was great. That is a great movie.
And terrible isn't necessarily bad. I mean, you're watching a movie about professional wrestling. What do you want? Fucking Scorsese?
Yeah.
For Christ's sake.
Bad can be awesome.
That movie's fun.
I sent you Ugandan Expendables.
It's ridiculous.
Right?
Yes.
If somebody sent me a DVD of Ugandan Expendables, the full cut, I would watch it. And I would laugh my ass off the entire time.
Well,
fucking Suburban Commando is terrible.
yes, except for the Undertaker part is funny.
But I will watch that movie to watch the Undertaker part.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Ah, shit.
Really? I will watch that to see that.
Well, you know what's a good romp for a movie? Like, just to sit down and watch a stupid-ass movie? No Holds Barred isn't... You know, it's fun to watch. It's not...
It's terrible.
It is terrible, but it's fun to watch.
Terrible fun.
Dookie. Teeny wangers.
Or like when he's like throwing pies and shit. It's like, what the fuck is going on? This movie is horrible.
But you can't look away. Well, I mean, you can.
Like I wish Vince McMahon would be like, you know what, guys, and like Mick Foley's kid and whoever were sitting at like Road Dogg and Mick Foley's kid and Mike Hayes. They sit down and they're like, "What do you want to do, Vince? We're gonna go back to the No Holds Barred era." It's gonna be Dookie and pie throwing.
Dookie.
I'd be totally down with that.
We're gonna say the revival has teeny wangers. Why the revival, Vince? Shut up. All right, well, we actually did discuss, listeners, a couple of things we wanted to talk about on this episode of the show. One of which was guys that didn't work out or didn't fit in. Yeah, didn't fit in WWF or WCW. I thought of a couple.
Can we take a quick break before we do that?
Yeah, we're about at our 30-minute mark anyways, which is when we usually take a break.
I gotta pay.
All right, well, you do that. I'll sign off to break, and then we'll be back in just a minute.
I feel like when Forrest Gump met JFK.
I gotta pay.
I gotta pay.
Well, let's show this man where the bathroom is.
He said he's gotta pay.
All right, folks.
Does look like comfortable shoes. You can tell a lot by you can tell a lot by somebody's shoes. Where they going, where they been.
My favorite thing in the whole movie is we gotta go home to Greenbow, Alabama. It's like the only time Forrest Gump's ever pissed. Like, he is pissed.
Because that guy was smacking Jenny around.
Yeah. Greenbow, Alabama. All right, folks, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more of the We Can't Wrestle podcast right after this.
Did Gump get AIDS? Or just his kid? Because Jenny died of AIDS.
I don't think he had it. Because I think you were supposed to assume when you watched the movie that she contracted the HIV between the time that they parted and the time that they reunited.
Okay.
So, yeah, you know it's terrible. Right now, I'm gonna cry.
Why? Because that kid from my Dead People had AIDS.
You don't even think about it when you're watching the movie. If she had AIDS, so did that poor kid. Oh, Forrest little boy. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Little Gump had AIDS.
Nice.
It was not nice.
All right, well, let's take our break. We'll be right back with more of the We Can't Wrestle podcast after this.
Dissect Forrest Gump from beginning to end.
Greenbow, Alabama. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast on Podbean. Nate and Aaron here with you.
I'm just going to put it out there. Red Dead Redemption 2 looks like it might be the greatest video game ever fucking made.
It looks pretty fucking fantastic.
Like, every time I watch a trailer for it, I'm like happy I'm wearing loose pants. For everybody would know what religion I am.
I've been playing the Batman Telltale series because I'd never played it before.
Well, those are great games, but I'm going to give you a fair warning. Mm-hmm. Everything I heard, the Telltale people went out of business.
Yeah, they're done.
So if you've paid for something
you still
that's made after they went out of business, if you're waiting for episode 2 or 3, you're not going to get it.
I was talking to Kyle about it a couple of weeks ago, and I told him, I said, I hope somebody buys up their... You know what I mean? I mean, hopefully it just gets sold or whatever, and
yeah,
somebody continues it on. But anyway, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Like I said before, we are free-forming on this episode number 52.
I'm free.
Free balling.
Free forming.
And we are going to discuss right now. All right, so... WCW, WWF guys that didn't fit. I never thought the Raven character fit anywhere but ECW.
Okay. I would halfway agree with that. Like, I actually enjoyed, I wasn't like a huge fan of the Flock. Mm-hmm. It was like Scotty Riggs and Billy Kidman and all that. You know, I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I did actually, and it was one of the only things in later WCW that I enjoyed. I enjoyed when he was like living in Malibu or whatever with his mom.
Yeah.
Had like Canyon with him, and Hack was like his like shitty brother-in-law or whatever. Like, I enjoyed that Raven.
Yeah. Well, and that brings up another guy talking about Raven, was a guy that was one of his tag partners in WCW. I never thought Saturn fit in the WWF.
I liked Moppy.
And I don't know. Saturn kind of, like, Saturn fit in ECW, and then I actually thought he fit in WCW, but I just never could get into Saturn in the WWF. I don't know why. Just didn't resonate with me at all.
Okay.
What's one you got?
And you're gonna totally disagree with me on this, and everybody else will. And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I always thought not WWE, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm talking WWF, early 90s. To me, Ric Flair seemed out of place.
In WWF. I agree with you. He had an awesome run there, you know, but no, he never fit in the WWF. And I think part of it was, if you watch when he comes in, they do. I mean, there was no way that was one guy that there was no way Vince couldn't acknowledge his past in some way. But they never. I think maybe Heenan called him that one or two times or something. But they never even called him the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. He was just Ric Flair. He had the Nature Boy robes and shit, but they never said it in commentary. And when Finkel introduced him, he just introduced him as Ric Flair. Like it's like they wanted to make their own version of Ric Flair with Ric Flair. And I agree with you. And to that matter, I never thought Arn and Tully fit, especially Tully.
Yeah,
Tully, Arn kind of fit in. Arn, you know, I don't know. Arn's one of those wrestlers that can fit in anywhere, but Tully definitely didn't fit in the WWF.
Tully's deal was that he, and I'm a Tully Blanchard fan. I'm a Tully Blanchard fan, but he didn't. I would say he didn't fit in there because of just his build and his look.
Yeah.
Like,
it would have been like, and
okay, like Tully, honestly, was a great wrestler, great chalker, technician, whatever you want to call him.
But he looked like a substitute teacher in his underwear.
In the WWE, he looked like a jobber.
Yeah.
He looked like what the jobbers looked like, the enhancement talent, whatever you want to call him.
Well, I think the same thing. I think the same thing would have happened if you would have dropped Jimmy Garvin into the WWE. I don't think Jimmy Garvin would have fit in either, in that respect.
I kind of want him to, though.
He was
He's not
kinda-
the Jimmy Garvin mark.
I know, but you know what I'm
like-
saying though.
yeah.
He's kind of paunchy and furry, and I don't know. He fit in the NWA, but he just I don't think he would have fit if you dropped him into the WWF in the 80s
Okay,
either.
probably not. NWA, they all look like Boogie Nights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that might be why I like the NWA more. Because I kind of want to hang out with the Boogie Nights.
Ah, shit. Jim Neidhart and Davey Boy Smith didn't fit in WCW. For that matter, neither did Brett.
Yeah.
Like the whole Hart Foundation. Like,
That was a different era, though.
I don't know what it is about the guys
If I was a 25-year-old guy in the 80s, I think it wouldn't have been in the NWA. I'm just saying, they got Budweiser in the trunk, and it's Boogie Nights all night.
Well, who else do you have for this scenario you threw up here?
Oh, the people that don't fit?
Anybody that came out of like Calgary, other than Pillman and Benoit, didn't fit in WCW. Brett, Owen, Neidhart, Bulldog, none of those guys ever fit in WCW to me.
Yeah. Well, my second guy that did not fit, I went with Flair in the WWF, and then I'm gonna go with a guy that I felt never fit into WCW the entire time he was there was Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper's WCW run should have ended after he put the sleeper hold on Hogan at that Starrcade 96.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have ended it there, I wouldn't even say that. But everything after that is just fucking terrible.
Yeah, you're right. And I think part of it is just how associated he was by that time with WWF. But I mean, I guess you can't even say that because Hogan fit in WCW, but it was Hogan's WCW. I think another thing of with Piper in WCW was he was one of those guys that kind of, and Eric Bischoff can say what he wants to, but he was one of those guys that kind of had stroke and a little bit of, I don't want to say power, but he was one of those guys that because of his stroke and because of his name, they kind of let him get away with a lot of shit he wanted to do.
He had a stroke?
Whereas Vince McMahon would have put a kibosh on that fucking Piper picks his team thing before it even made TV. You know what I mean? Vince McMahon would have been like, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah, he would have been like, Rowdy had a stroke. That's the only logical reason why he's bringing Earthquake out.
And two guys with mullets. The fuck is going on? Yeah. Oh, God. Did you have another one?
Oh, those are my two.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I could keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of people in mind that...
And it would almost be like, it's like, not that they didn't fit, but it would be like they did it better with them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I never thought Bam Bam fit in the WCW.
oh, Bam Bam didn't fit in WCW. You know when I actually enjoyed Bam Bam the most, and it might be one of the only guys to ever say this about
ECW.
ECW. Paul Heyman used Bam Bam Bigelow better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I really like my favorite. I agree with you on that. My favorite Bam Bam is his probably '93 in WWF, but
It's fun, but he's like feuding with Doink.
yeah, and he
He had a couple good matches with Brett and everything.
yeah.
But Bam Bam in ECW was better than anybody. Yeah, Paul Heyman did better with Bam Bam than anybody ever did.
Yeah, and somebody that's really a surprise. Speaking of big guys, it's more shocking to me than anything that WWF didn't know what to do with Vader.
I think they knew what to do with him.
And Vader almost seems like a guy that Vince would just, you know what I mean? Like Vince could. It seems like he'd be the kind of guy Vince could turn into gold, and didn't happen.
I think his problem was that he didn't get along with the right people.
Yeah, and that was part of Bam Bam's
from
problem
everything
too.
I've read.
Shane Douglas in the WWE.
Yeah, and another guy would be in WCW. Honestly, I enjoyed Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah,
Johnny B. Bad was an entertaining person. And I know I've heard things and read things where Vince McMahon thought he was signing Johnny B. Bad, and he wound up with Mark Marrow.
mm-hmm.
But Vince could have given him a Johnny B. Bad-esque character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they
dropped the ball.
Yeah.
You know who else? Like, he actually was he was best in ECW, and he was actually decent in WCW, but he was not good in WWE and just didn't fit in, was Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, Mike Awesome is underrated, in my opinion.
Oh, totally underrated.
that dude was fucking, well, excuse the pun, but that dude was awesome.
I would put that out there plenty of times, and I think by the time he got to WWF, he was just damaged. He was damaged goods.
Yeah.
And all his stock had been just eliminated.
Thanks, Vince Russo.
Yeah, because Vince Russo... It might not all be Vince Russo either, though, because from everything I've heard, they signed Mike Awesome to an amazing contract.
Mm-hmm.
And when WCW had him, it was like a deal where unless he quit, they couldn't get out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was basically give this guy a bunch of shit and see if he leaves.
And that brings to the next topic that you wanted to discuss, and that's most tasteless angles. And to me, quite frankly, you know, you can make jokes.
We say the same one.
You know, you can make jokes or whatever between two guys or what have you. You know what people say in their personal conversations is of no business of mine, because I've definitely said things in personal conversations with a brother or a friend or somebody like that lots of people would find offensive, and quite frankly, that's my prerogative. But to put out there on national television, especially where children are watching and little girls are watching that are going to form complexes about themselves. The fat chick thriller thing, pretty tasteless.
But he likes big girls.
Yeah, and that's fine, but the way you present it is, it's almost like, and I don't know if this is going to make sense, and it might not, but it makes sense in my head. The way that the joke was told was tasteless. Like, it never came off as tasteless when Bobby Heenan was talking about those Rizzo sisters or whoever they were. It didn't come off that way. It was just like they were part of the act. But the way they did it with Awesome just came off as very crass. And I know it sounds stupid because I'm saying I'm going from one fat chick gimmick to another fat chick gimmick. but do you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Like with Bobby, it's almost, with Bobby and those three sisters, it's almost like a Groucho Marx, Margaret Dumont thing.
Yeah.
And then with Awesome...
Part of you feels like Bobby's just making fun of him, but he's still doing it.
Right, exactly. But then the Mike Awesome thing was just gross. Like, it was just gross. I don't know. There's a difference. I don't care what anybody says. There's a difference between what Heenan did with those guys. Damn it. What Heenan did with those ladies and what they were doing with Mike Awesome and his fat chick thriller gimmick. Pretty tasteless. What were you going to say? You said
the Terry Reynolds miscarriage.
Yeah. Pointless too. Tasteless and pointless. Like, what purpose does this serve?
They did that whole storyline just to have like D'Lo Brown go into a couple CVS's and buy tampons.
Yeah, and then not only that, but you're trying to make this angle, which is going to be super sensitive for a lot of your audience. And on top of it, I mean, where do you do it? You do it on a throwaway show like Sunday Night Heat. And by the next Sunday Night Heat, it doesn't even matter. Like, it just, I don't know. You're right. It was tasteless. Gross. More Russo garbage.
Yeah, it was dumb.
What else?
That was my tasteless angle. Other than that, I'm fair game.
Do you think Katie Vick was tasteless?
No.
I don't either, and the reason I say that,
I laughed.
Well, a lot of people say, and see, again, it's like Heenan with those fat girls.
Hunter was fucking with him.
Not only that, but there is a point where it's so over the top that it's obviously not supposed to be taken seriously. And
I'm not saying I'm not saying it wasn't stupid. It was a stupid angle. It was stupid for Triple H to be like, oh, I fucked her brains out, and then come up with, like, spaghetti noodles or whatever. It was stupid. But it wasn't tasteless. It was just stupid.
Any time.
That was kind of tasteless when the WWE did WWEshop.com and they put up like the cheerleader outfit. That was kind of tasteless.
Anytime anybody did especially Vince Russo. Vince Russo actually did it a lot in WCW. Anytime anybody did a rappelling from the ceiling thing after Owen died was tasteless. I think at one point Russo even dropped a dummy of Sting from the ceiling and let it hit the ground.
Yeah, but they didn't, like, mention Owen. So.
But the intent... Come on. The intent was there.
The
intent was there for you in your mind to make that comparison. That's fucking tasteless. Like, Vince, as far as the Owen Hart thing goes, I know a lot of people know there's a lot of melodrama with Roddy Piper and what's real and what's Memorex and all that. But when he quote-unquote shot on Russo on that TNA about Owen, he was right. Like, you know
what's funny?
What?
It was... Maybe it's not funny. I don't know. But it was funny when they dropped the Sting dummy down and, like, Kevin Nash was, like, hitting the rubber The rubber sting.
That though,
that was
but
funny.
but that actually took place before Owen died.
Okay.
That was during like the 97 shit. That was way before Owen died. I'm talking about after Owen died.
Okay. When they were hitting that rubber sting with
that was funny. That was funny. And again, because that was in 97. You know what I mean? That was before.
That sting like dropped in sections. And then he hit. And then they like hit it like 5 times in the head. That shit was funny.
I'm trying to think of some other tasteless crap. You know what's funny? For all the garbage they ever did, and for all the bad wrestling TV they ever did, ECW never did anything that I found truly tasteless. Like I found a lot of what they did to be garbage and stupid, but I never found anything they did to be tasteless.
Because Paul Heyman has sensibility to him.
Hi, volley, sir.
We should not upset the masses.
Do not upset the masses. Mass transit. And that wasn't even offensive.
Get that motherfucker. I don't find that offensive because that fat motherfucker deserved it.
Yes.
And he's dead now.
Is he?
Yeah. Mass transit died.
No, I didn't know that. He didn't die because of that, did he?
No.
Okay.
He died because of probably diabetes.
I mean, New Jack would have been like, I killed that motherfucker. He didn't give a damn.
No, that fat fucker died. I'll tell you what he died of. I'll Google it. Keep talking.
Mass transit. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, look it up. The mass transit incident in ECW.
Have you ever watched the whole video?
Yes.
It's rough.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of New Jack shit on the internet that's rough. Watching him beat up fucking jabronis and put fucking staples in their head and shit.
I love watching him beat up Gypsy Joe.
Yes, him beating up Gypsy Joe is classic. And him talking about Gypsy Joe is classic, with your shit-stained pink tights.
I smacked that 87,000-year-old motherfucker.
He says he's 104, which is great because it's just this random old age. I slapped that 104-year-old motherfucker.
This shit-stained purple tights.
I don't know what's better, his Gypsy Joe story or his Junkyard Dog story.
I think his Vic Grimes story is the best.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Where he shocked him like 5 times and threw him off. And then Jeremy Borash is like, was that the receipt? He was like, that was the receipt. The paper was printed on.
The cash register.
The cash box it came in. Register that you put the cash box into.
I love that ring announcer too. He's like, "Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen."
Fucking Vic Grimes falls like 4 tables.
The concession
2
stand
turnbuckles and smacks in the concrete, and he's like, "Thank you for coming out. Please let the ambulance through."
The merchandise table is still open.
Yeah, Eric Kalelis.
Mm-hmm.
That was mass transit.
Yes.
He died on May 12th, 2002, at the age of 22.
Jesus.
Due to complications from gastric bypass surgery.
God damn, you need gastric bypass surgery at 22. You were a fat son of a bitch. Wow.
So apparently, the staples that he let New Jack put him in, or put on him, busted. Got bled out.
As Booker T would say, wow.
Let me see what it says here. I'm reading more about this kid. The event at the house show, and thus not televised, however, camcorder footage was available, which eventually used as evidence in legal proceedings against New Jack. The video showed New Jack quietly asking Kaluuya after blading, "Are you alright?" Next, the gangsters proceeded to work Kaluuya over even more with elbow drops and various objects, prompting Kaluuya's father to scream, "Ring the fucking bell! Ring the fucking bell! He's 17!" As medics rushed to the ring to aid Kaluuya, New Jack grabbed the house microphone and shouted, "I don't care if this motherfucker dies. He's white. I don't like white people. I don't like people from Boston. I'm the wrong nigga to fuck with."
That sounds very, very New Jack.
And
for the younger wrestling fans watching this show, if you are over 18, I'm not going to corrupt the minds of anybody under... actually, if you're under 18, your parents shouldn't be letting you listen to this podcast anyway, so I take no responsibility. But if you're over 18 and you're a younger wrestling fan and you haven't watched a New Jack shoot interview, you should. You will be thoroughly entertained.
I don't care if the motherfucker dies. He's white. I don't like white people. That is the greatest promo in the history of wrestling.
Oh man, watching some of the stuff with New Jack and Mustafa and Smoky Mountain. Two black guys in Tennessee.
I know,
cutting
but
those
New
fucking
Jack
promos.
screaming in the microphone. I don't care if the motherfucker dies. He's white. I don't like white people. I don't like people from Boston. It's great.
Well, we're going to take our next break on that note. And when we come back, we're going to discuss... How many did you have? Did you do 5 of the programs that never happened? Huh?
Yeah, that's what you told me to do.
All right. So each of us have 5 programs in wrestling history that we wish would have happened that never happened. Meaning these two guys had a feud. What?
Hold on. Oh my god. I'm just reading all the things they did to this guy. They both, Mustafa was involved in it too, and they both, kneed that kid in the head, and pummeled him with crutches and toasters. And then New Jack, at the end of the match, because the Kaluuya kid told him to, basically said, "Blade me." He allowed New Jack to blade him.
Mm-hmm.
So New Jack took an X-Acto knife and bladed the kid.
Now long story short on this though, as this was happening, New Jack did not realize this guy was 17.
No, he didn't until his dad said, "Ring the fucking bell, he's 17.
Well, there's your clue.
And that's when New Jack said, "I don't care if the motherfucker dies. He's white. I don't like white
Oh, so
people."
he said that after he knew he was 17.
After this mass transits, Dad was like, "Ring the fucking bell, he's 17. And that's when New Jack said, "I don't fucking care. He's white. I fucking hate white people." And then he stabbed him again.
I love that you've recited that promo 7 times.
Because it's the greatest promo ever.
It's better than Hard Times by Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right, we're going to take a break because one of your hosts has to pee. And we will return after this with the next topic. We're going to discuss 5 feuds / programs that never happened that we wish would have happened or think that would have been really cool.
My first one is New Jack and Mass Transit.
New Jack and Mass.
Had one match.
I was going to say New Jack and Mass Transit's dad. We'll be right back after this with more of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
All systems operating within normal design parameters. Engage cybernetic generation sequence.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate and Aaron here with you on Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, whatever app you're listening to your favorite wrestling podcasts on. You can download this app, and we appreciate your support. And now...
NPR.
Yeah. You're going to have a pledge drive. And now, on this freeform edition of the show, we're going to discuss a topic here. 5 programs that you wish would have happened that never happened. And these guys could have maybe had a match or 2 against each other over the time. But, you know...
it's 5 programs with... Okay.
So if you...
With wrestlers. I thought you meant, like... Because I have...
Nell Carter and Gordon Ramsay.
No, I have... the guy from Star Trek versus Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers would just be like, "You want an ass whooping? Give me just a minute, I'll put my shoes on." The choo-choo train's coming. All right. So do you want to go 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, or do you just want to do all 5?
I don't, whatever you want to do.
All right, we'll do 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, etc., etc.
Let me put my slippers on to stop them at home.
And I'll have my mailman take you home. Stupid. All right. So anyway, the first one, to me, that would have been
Have you ever, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But have you ever watched, and we'll watch it at the end of this episode if you haven't, but have you ever watched the legit video of Fred Rogers talking to, like, the Supreme Court or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
About why,
why PBS should be funded? Yes.
That is the greatest fucking video in the that's the greatest thing anybody should ever watch. Like, whenever anybody's like, oh, and they start arguing, I'm like, if we would just all talk
like Fred
to
Rogers,
each other, like Fred Rogers talked to those people, we would be the greatest society on the face of the planet.
Yeah, but he was one of the greatest human beings to ever live.
Yeah.
People can say what they want, but yeah. Mr. Rogers. Like, if anybody says anything bad about Mr. Rogers, I'm going to punch him in the head.
Yeah, that dude, he would just show you how a pencil's made.
Yeah.
And it was great. But yeah, if you just watch that video, and it's like, hey, everybody just talk to each other like these people are talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody that was sitting on that council, when they went in, wanted to fund any of that shit. And then Fred Rogers just walked in there and was like, I'm a pimp. I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. And he told that old motherfucker, and that dude was like, I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Here's your money, buddy.
I thank you.
Thank you very much.
I see the train coming in right now. All right, so.
All right, sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
saying.
The first
If
one.
nobody's ever watched that video, fucking watch
Watch
people.
it. The first one on my list that I would have liked to see I think they would have had great matches. I think it could have been a great angle, especially with... I mean, you could do either one as a heel or face, actually, in this feud. Bret Hart and Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
I think Bret Hart and Kurt Angle could have had a great feud. You could have had Kurt Angle as a pro-American babyface, or you could have had Bret Hart as the babyface and just had Kurt Angle do his schlocky heel character. Either way, but I think they could have had a great feud, great promos, great matches.
I agree. Excuse me. I just think that is a feud that never happened that should have happened, and I don't know what else to say on it. I don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it could have happened too if Bret would have still been in the WWF. It could have happened because Bret would have been around. And just imagine if Bret would have stayed in the WWF. Maybe he never would have got that concussion. But yeah, I just think it would have been gold. And what I will say as a side note is it would have had to have been done in the WWF. WCW would have fucked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got to say on it, really.
Like, Kurt Angle could have been the guy that, like, took the link out of the bike chain.
I did it for
Which I don't know why they never did that in NWA. Like, why wasn't Ivan Koloff ever like, I'm the guy, the guy, Magnum.
That cut the brakes.
I cut the brakes.
Even if Magnum wasn't going to wrestle, that could have put super heat on him for a feud with Dusty or whatever. Because Dusty would have worked himself into that shit.
I about killed your friend. American Dream.
You put hard times on Magnum TA.
Ivan Koloff was the shit, man. I like Ivan Koloff.
Ivan? Yeah, Ivan was the shit, yes. Now, Nikita was fucking ass. I hate Nikita Koloff.
Like, Ivan Koloff would just look at the game and be like, look at me. I don't understand you, Dusty Rhodes.
Paul Jones.
Stupid idiot, Dusty Rhodes. He's a moron. Like every that he said in a statement.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't presenting a hypothesis. Like he was like, this
or a structured promo. It's just statement. And then I'm gonna beat you.
You're gonna bleed.
And then he'd walk away. It wasn't like a paragraph.
I think the wrestling world would have been much better off if Nikita Koloff never existed. But Ivan was definitely the shit.
I don't know what existed. Maybe spoke.
No, existed. I hate Nikita Koloff. Hate him.
Okay.
He wasn't a good wrestler. He wasn't a good promo. I don't understand. Never saw a match he was in that I was entertained by. I never saw a promo that I was entertained. The guy just butt.
Maybe that would have been a cool angle, too. Where, like, he found out that Nikita cut the brakes. Because he wanted the push.
McAtee! All right. What's your first one on your list there?
I put 5 of them on my list, and if you tell me that these happened, then I won't talk about it. But I think that a Rowdy Piper, Randy Savage in the WWF feud would have been awesome.
Who's the face? Who's the heel?
Who's the face? Who's the heel?
Yeah.
Roddy Piper's the face and Randy Savage is the heel.
Yeah, that's the way I would have
Sherry
done it.
Martel.
That's the way I would have done it too. I agree. The Macho King and Roddy Piper. You could have had cool matches. You could have Piper steal his crown and shit. Walk around with his crown with his kilt on, and yeah, that would have been fun.
And that's why I said that it was like. That's why I asked you if it was matches or an actual program, because Randy and Roddy actually worked together
in WCW,
and they had a couple of matches in the WWF too.
Yeah, but they never.
Those Coliseum videos.
Yeah, they never worked extensively together.
I know, but I'm just saying they never had a feud, but they had like house show matches or Coliseum video matches. But I think an actual feud between a face, Roddy Piper, and a heel, Randy Savage, with Sherry Martel would have been fucking insanity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fucking insanity. And it would have been great.
Bow down, Roddy Piper, you know.
Because all three of them...
They're crazy.
Fucking certifiably insane.
Hence, 3 of the best professional wrestling entertainers ever.
Like, Randy would have done whatever for Macho Man, or would have done whatever for Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper is a psychopath, and Sherry, she wouldn't have gave a fuck. Piper could have punched her right in the face.
It's like, and
it wouldn't have mattered.
Have you ever heard Harley Race's RF shoot?
No.
At one point in that shoot, they're talking about Blassie. They talk about Blassie being crazy, and was he really crazy? And Harley Race goes, to achieve any status in this business, you have to be a little bit crazy. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
And all 3 of them, fucking bananas.
As Pat Patterson would say, they were banana. All right, the next on my list I think would have made a good feud. Would have been a babyface Stone Cold and a heel CM Punk. A straight edge CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I'll give you that, but we've talked about it before. I'm not a huge CM Punk fan.
Oh, I know. But I just think that straight edge character against the beer swilling, cussing Stone Cold Steve Austin would be great, especially because if you put in the time frame of when it would have happened, you could have even thrown in CM Punk trying to be sanctimonious to Austin because he's aging. You know, like, do you know what you're doing to your liver? Et cetera, et cetera. And just, I think they could have, and they're both really good promos. And I think they would have had to have Austin-style matches, but I think CM Punk could pull that off, and I just think they would have had a good program together. I think that could have maybe not a main event, but that could have even been a big attraction at a WrestleMania.
The way I think it would have worked is if he would have been, for me to enjoy it, it would have to be that he had like a Vince McMahon with him.
With Punk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could work that in there.
Where Vince is saying, or whoever is the corporate entity of the situation, of saying, this is the guy that we want as our champ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same thing, but it would almost be like, I would look if I'm going to have a CM Punk versus Stone Cold feud.
Mm-hmm.
It would be not the same way because they're different people, but it would be the equivalent of when Vince had like Dude Love versus Steve Austin.
Yeah, he's got his representative.
Yeah, like I don't think a CM Punk Steve Austin feud carries itself.
I think as performers they could, but I mean I see where you're coming from too on that. Have your
like I want a Vince McMahon, or, and I know it's probably sacrilegious to say this, but I want like a Vince McMahon or a Stephanie McMahon
Yeah.
standing next to that guy saying, "This is our guy. You're a fucking asshole. We don't have anything to do with you. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. His only addiction is working out."
Working out. 24-hour fitness.
He's going to change the face of 24-hour fitness.
All right, who's next on your list? What feud?
The next feud on my list is Bret Hart versus Randy Savage.
They never really did have a feud, did they?
Nope.
They had a match on a Saturday night's main event, I remember, when Savage was feuding with Honky Tonk Man. But they never did have a feud. Now, again, you gotta clarify here. Who's your heel? Who's your face in this one?
In this one?
Yeah.
Bret's the heel, Randy's the face.
Okay. Why did I just go Rey Mysterio right there? Okay. Okay. But anyway, now, I mean, they could have fantastic matches together, and Bret is your kind of soft-spoken heel, arrogant, younger than Randy, and Randy is your, of course, over-the-top Randy Savage babyface. I think it could have worked pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that, like...
And that's the time we'd be talking about here, right? Like 88.
If you want to.
When Bret's still with Jimmy Hart. Because we're not talking like WCW.
No.
Okay. Well, I didn't think so, but I was just checking.
I mean, you could even go, like... I know Bret was like the poster boy in the 90s, but like say you don't turn Crush heel.
Mm-hmm. And instead you turn
Okay.
Bret.
Yeah, so say you got like a 1993 Monday Night Raw or something, and like Bret and Crush are gonna have a match for like a King of the Ring qualifier. Like, I'm talking hypothetically.
Well, this is all hypothetical.
Yeah, two of the guys are fucking dead. The other guy can't ride a bike to save his ass. So, anyway, like, Bret pile drives fucking Crush on the floor in this match, and he's just like, fuck. Like, just in the heat of competition, pile drives him, and Randy Savage is commentating, and oh my god damn, he fucking pile drove my best friend, and Randy Savage gets involved in that shit, and then Bret and Savage have like a pushing fight, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You could build it off that, and Bret's the asshole because he didn't apologize for paralyzing Crush, and now Crush has like a neck brace and all this other shit. There's a lot of shit you could do with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Bret Hart, in my opinion, is the, like, to me, like, there's a lot of heels. Like, Ric Flair is the greatest, cockiest, just like, I'm better than anybody else heel ever.
Right.
Hulk Hogan is possibly the best
Piece of shit heel.
piece of shit I lost, and I'm not even going to acknowledge it heel. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Bret Hart is the smarmiest.
Yes, and Bret Hart is also the most righteous heel ever.
Yeah, like Bret Hart.
You know who the two most righteous heels ever are? Bret Hart and Michael Hayes.
Yeah.
Like they were the two heels that at the end of the day, you know what? I'm right. I'm taking the moral high ground here. I'm right. You know?
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite feuds that nobody ever talks about, and I know we're getting off topic here, but one of my favorite feuds that nobody ever talks about is Michael Hayes and Lex Luger for the U.S. title in WCW in like 90 or 91. Like Michael Hayes is such a righteous heel in that feud. But anyway. But yeah, I see what you're saying about Bret.
Bret was smarmy. Is that a word?
Yes.
Me?
Most people describe Paul Heyman as smarmy.
Like, Bret was just like, you know what? Fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
To me, like, a Bret Hart could pile drive a guy. And after he did it, just be like, the guy deserved it. and then this old guy with his hair plugs and stupid cowboy hat involved in it before I could apologize. You know what I mean? Like Bret would be like, "Hey, I tried to say I was sorry, but before I could say I was sorry, fucking Uncle Creepy with a terrible build showed up and smacked me." You know what I mean?
Yeah, got in my face with the Slim Jims.
Yeah. I think that would be the like a Bret Hart. The sad feud is by a perceived quotation marks because Bret would perceive it as a misunderstanding, even though he was the wrong guy in the situation.
Mm-hmm. Again, righteous. He'd feel like he was he was wronged when he was doing wrong.
I love asshole Bret.
Okay, so the next on my list, who's the one guy in the 1980s? Let's say from 1984 to 1992, WWF, that you never got to see Hulk Hogan cross paths with, that you wish you would have got to cross paths with?
Sean Mooney.
All right, now the serious answer.
Jesse Ventura.
See, mine is Bruiser Brody. I would have liked to see Hulk Hogan and Bruiser Brody have a feud.
Said 84 to 89?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, what I was saying is in his Hulkamania run from 84 to 92, of all the guys that he got to cross paths with and have feuds with and have issues with and have programs with, he never got to have one with Bruiser Brody, and I think that it would have been a cool feud.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was being silly with the Sean Mooney thing.
Hulk Hogan attacks him on the event center. Mooney starts talking shit like, coming up in Fort Wayne, Indiana on March 29th, Ric Flair will face that bozo Hulk Hogan. He wouldn't have good insults.
Bad News Brown versus stupid ass.
And then Hogan be like, I heard you out here talking business about me, brother.
We're gonna have Bad News Allen versus good old banana butthole Blumpkin. But anyway, I thought, or I shouldn't say I thought, my first instinct was like, you know who I'd like to see Hulk Hogan have a feud with? Stan Hansen.
Yeah. Hansen and Brody almost...
I understand why Stan Hansen was never in the 1980s WWF.
I don't know
I mean, I
why.
understand that he was in Japan
Mm-hmm.
and he was making money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he had a relationship with that company.
Yeah, he
Vince.
was Mac. He was with Vince Sr.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why there was a Stan Hansen, Vince McMahon Jr. connection.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, I get that it's probably the fact that he was making awesome money being in Japan, and from what I understand, his wife is from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But well, he never at least had like a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania appearance, because there was a couple Japanese guys
Yeah.
that were there. So give you Bruce Brody. Just don't know because I don't see it being a Hulk Hogan Bruce Brody match. It needs to be a Hogan Bruce Brody with this particular person. I manage him. With Mr. Bobby Heenan. Those are the guys I'd put him with.
I think Brody would have been a Fuji guy.
All right.
I do. I think Brody would have been a Fuji guy. What's next on your list?
Well, let me put it down for a second. I put it down for a second because somebody had to poop. And that somebody was you. Did you get your golden Buckeye card yet?
I was just about to say, of course I had to poop. It was my birthday. My wife made me a big dinner. With nothing healthy on it. Like, that's what I want for my birthday. I want you to make a big dinner with no goddamn vegetables, okay?
And then you're going to get another movie. Super cheap.
Taking the whole family.
The next on my list is, and I'm assuming this feud never happened because I don't ever remember it happening.
Okay.
If you tell me I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is Jake the Snake Roberts and Ric Flair.
No.
Oh, this motherfucker had a match.
They never even really crossed paths when Jake was in Mid-Atlantic and Flair was the NWA champion. Like, Jake was hooked up with Mulligan against other heels. And, I mean, every time Flair was ever on, I don't remember them ever even having... I don't know that they ever even wrestled each other. That one's a hard one to call for me because who's the face and who's the heel? Because I always like Jake better as a heel.
I'd make Ric Flair the heel and Jake the face.
So do you roll with like a DiBiase Jake kind of feud?
Yeah, where Jake's gonna make Rick, grovel for the same things, or for...
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like...
Put him in his place even though he's got more money and shit.
Yeah, you got more shit than me, but I'm gonna take your shit away from you and then you're gonna beg me to give it to you. You're gonna basically beg me to give it back to you, type of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, like, Jake would just take out every member of the Four Horsemen type of deal. Like, Flair just keeps, not keeps, but, like, Jake becomes the number one contender, and now he sends Tully after him, and he DDT's Tully, and then he DDT's Arn, and then he DDT's Ole, and now Flair's all on himself, and he's just got this biblical motherfucker coming after him with a snake and all this shit, and Flair has no idea how to deal with that.
They never had a feud. I was looking. They never had a feud. They did have a match, but they never had a feud. Jake Roberts versus Ric Flair, Mid-South Wrestling, November 24th, 1985. Of course, Bill Watts gave us that match. But they didn't have a feud. They did have a match, though. But anyway.
And it was the first time the snake came out.
We're not talking about Flair's snake.
I wasn't talking about Jake's.
Oh. Woo! That's the Ric Flair drip.
And the Ricky Morton drip goes and makes a bitch go poop.
I'm not a huge fan of the next... Okay, on my list, I've never been a gigantic fan of one of the guys in this matchup. But I do think that for wrestling fans of the 80s and 90s, it is a feud that would have been, I think, cool to see. It never happened. They were never in the same promotion. But I do think it would have been cool to see an Undertaker Abdullah the Butcher feud.
No, it wouldn't have.
No, you don't think so?
Nope.
I do. I think Abdullah's character would have fit the mold of the... You know, when Undertaker first turned face, that early 90s phase where he went like 3 years where he just fought monster heels.
You ever watched this feud with Mabel?
Yes.
It would have been worse than that.
I think visually it would have been a cool feud.
Nope.
All right, then moving on. What's next on your list?
Next on my list is Rick Rude versus Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, they never worked a feud together, that's for sure. Rick Rude hated Hulk Hogan, apparently.
And Hulk Hogan hated Rick Rude. They didn't want anything to do with each other.
They did have a match. I saw that they had a match. But, yeah,
it didn't matter about the match.
Yeah, they never worked a program together. It would have been great. You take the Rick Rude that feuded with the Ultimate Warrior along with Bobby Heenan and put that in the mid-'80s or late 80s in the WWF. Yeah, they would have had a fantastic feud. And I bet it was considered, but I bet Vince was like, nope.
Because Rick Rude, from everything I understand, Hulk Hogan was not, like, I won't say this, but like wrestling wise, you know, like he could handle his own, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like fighting, no. But from everything I understood about Rick Rude, if that guy wanted to beat the fuck out of somebody,
yeah, but that's
he was going to beat the fuck out of somebody.
That's what I've never understood about the Rick Rude Hulk Hogan story. Like they always say, Rick Rude didn't want to work with Hogan. Hogan didn't want to work with Rick Rude. Blah 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 blah. Rude could have handled himself, could have put him in his place, etc., etc. But Rick Rude worked a long program with the Warrior. Like, wouldn't it have been better to work with Hogan than the Warrior? At least with Hogan, you know, you're making the top billing, you're making the top money. And you have someone who is obviously more professional than the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
In that situation, to me, almost Rude's kind of a hypocrite.
No, I don't think that's what it is. I think that Vince McMahon said, you need to work the Ultimate Warrior. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then Hulk Hogan was like, I'm not going to work with Rick Rude. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah, maybe.
So I don't think it was that Rick Rude necessarily wanted to work with the Ultimate Warrior, but his boss, Vince McMahon, was saying, you're going to work with him. And then when it got to the point where Rick Rude was at the level where he was going to work with Hogan, Hogan said, I don't want to work with Rude. So then Vince McMahon said, Rick Rude, you're not going to work with Hulk Hogan.
Kind of like Austin with Jarrett and Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Especially Jarrett.
Because he's going to hit you with a balsa wood guitar.
I always have had a theory though that Austin didn't want to work with Jarrett and it's not discrediting Austin or Jim Ross, but I always thought that Jarrett got a bad shake as far as working with, because you know what, you can say what you want about Jarrett. I know you're not his biggest fan, but in that era, in 98, 99, as far as heels went in the WWF Attitude Era, he was one of the most over heels. And he should have got a program with Austin. He never should have been the champion.
I think Austin
fucked over Jarrett because of Jim Ross.
You know what I think Austin did to Jeff Jarrett? Seriously? Do you know what he did to him?
What?
I think Austin did to Jeff Jarrett what Jeff Jarrett probably did to Austin when they were in Memphis.
Maybe. There probably was old heat. But I really honestly, and like I said, I always say before I talk about him, I know you don't like him that much, but...
I'm a Jeff Jarrett fan. Jeff Jarrett.
Why are you hating then?
Huh?
Why are you hating all the time then on the Jeff Jarrett? I'm not a fan of Jeff Jarrett after WWF.
I don't like Jeff Jarrett and his balsa wood guitar and Home Depot glasses. I don't like construction Jeff Jarrett. When Jeff Jarrett was with Deborah and was like hanging with Owen and all that shit, or when he was like the JEWFR and with Ronnie Pete Gossett in Miss Texas, that was cool shit.
Can I just say for the record, in the background, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but in the background, while we're recording the show, I have Bash at the Beach 93 on my monitor.
Sorry.
And no, one of the biggest, like, foobars in wrestling history just happened. Like, you couldn't get more opposite. Eric Watts is coming to the ring, and underneath him it says Lord Steven Regal. It's like, how can you get more opposite than that? Yes, he's wrestling Lord Steven Regal, but they put Lord Steven Regal underneath Eric Watts as he was coming to the ring.
But I really think that's why Steve Austin didn't want to work with Jeff Jarrett. Is because probably in the 80s, in Memphis and Texas,
probably fucked him over a little bit.
With the USWA, Jeff Jarrett didn't want to work with Steve Austin.
And I would say that's probably a distinct possibility. All right, the last program, the last feud on my list that I would have loved to see.
And I have one more too, and then I gotta cut out.
Me too. It would have been over the Intercontinental Championship. It probably would have been like 90 or 91. But I think
Barry Horowitz and Pat Tanaka.
Rick Steamboat and Mr. Perfect.
I was close.
Not really. I think Rick Steamboat and Mr. Perfect would have been fucking great.
It would have.
They had Steamboat. They had Perfect. They had Steamboat in a big Muppet outfit or whatever, but so it didn't work out. But anyway, that's my list. Who's the last one on yours?
Last one on mine
Mm-hmm.
is Shawn Michaels. That's the Heartbreak Kid, in case you didn't know. And his opponent on my program would have been Sting.
Michaels and Sting.
And Sting.
Now, obviously, Sting's the face and Shawn's the heel because Sting can't be a good heel. Sting's a shitty heel.
That's his fault.
Huh?
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault, but with his personality, I don't know that he ever could have been an effect. He's kind of like Steamboat. Like, I could have never bought him as a heel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Sting is the face, Shawn is the heel.
And we're talking like mid-90s?
I'm talking like, 92, 93.
Yeah, it would have been good. Actually, really good.
Like, leaves the leaves WCW, comes to the WWE. And maybe the first time you see him, he's on the fucking Heartbreak Hotel.
Actually, you just jogged my mind, like got my creative juices flowing. That Raw where Jannetty shows up in his jacket and shit and challenges Shawn for the Intercontinental title. How cool would that have been if that was Sting?
Yeah, like Sting shows up and he's like, "Ow!"
And Michaels is like, "What the fuck?"
Is that Bart Simpson or Zach Morris? Was it evident?
And you've got pretty boy built Sting versus pudgy boy. I think I'm a pretty boy, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
I like it.
And Shawn fucking would have bumped like a motherfucker for Sting.
Yep.
And I'm not knocking this guy at all. But you take Scott Hall out of the Shawn Michaels Scott Hall feud and inject Sting into it.
It's even better.
It's 10 times better. 10 times better.
Scott Hall's like, "What are you talking about, man?" But anyway, too close to Portland.
What is it, real? It's my favorite comment.
Or are we too close to Portland? All right. Well, let's wrap.
Like the Portland thing is funny, but he's like, "What is it,
what
real?"
Is it, real?
My favorite thing.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up.
You got a lot of. I bet you got a lot of candy bars and cigarettes in Alcatraz.
Fucking Piper. So we're gonna wrap.
Sometimes I feel like a Scott Hall.
I don't know about that. Damn.
Huh?
So I don't know about that. Damn. I don't think I'm gonna.
Just my comments. Sometimes I feel like.
I was about to say I don't think I'm gonna be worried about your well-being at 40.
No, I'm
not gonna be calling a wellness check on you at 3 a.m. when you're 40.
Yeah, I'm talking about sometimes like with my comments sometimes.
Nah.
Okay.
Well, do you want to say goodbye so you can hang up to our listeners? I know you got to go.
All right. Goodbye. Happy birthday.
Oh, yes. I forgot.
It's over, though.
Did we mention that during the entire episode? This is my birthday.
You're 40 years and 2 hours old.
Time to pack it up, I guess.
Pretty much.
It's been fun. Well, I'm playing Bye Bye Tootsie right now.
You can hear Bye Bye Tootsie right now.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
All right.
Like, on your end, or on my end, I can hear all the music you play. That's why I don't understand why you can't hear the music I play.
I don't know. All right, Aaron, say goodbye to our listeners, and we're going to get out of here.
I'm messing. I know all the lyrics of the song.
Well, I'll say goodbye. Thank you for listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
You don't get to let me know I'm in jail.
I like Al Jolson's moves.
Oh, he's awesome.
Or should I say move? That hip swivel move he's got. Back then they were like, damn! Nigga got moves! And with the blackface, anyway, I'm stopping right now. We ain't doing that. I'm gonna restart the song. Goodbye, Tootsie. Thank you for joining us in the We Can't Wrestle podcast this week. We'll see you next week, and it will be a top 10 edition of the show. And I'll let my co-host know later in the week what the top 10 is going to be. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us.
You don't get it, then you know I'm in jail.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us on the We Can't Wrestle podcast, and we'll see you next week.